What is up, you guys? My name is Madison. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. So today I'm going to be doing the breakfast book tag. I got this from Break Even Books, but this was started by Kathy Treadhart. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I don't know. So there are 10 books, 10 prompts, 10 questions, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just gonna hop right in before this becomes a very long ramble. So the first one is Coffee, Hot But Not Scalding, and I picked a cute little YA romance, but I actually picked the second book in the series, P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. This is the second book in the All the Boys Love Before trilogy, or as I like to call it, the Laura Jean series, because I'm not gonna remember the name of the title. So anyway, I picked this one specifically because it has John Ambrose McLaren. He's my favorite. He deserves to be with Laura Jean. End of story. But if you don't know the main point of this, Laura Jean is a Korean American and she writes love letters to all the boys she's loved or had severe crushes on, and she addresses them and everything, gets them ready to send, and then puts them in a hat box until one day they get sent out and there's a whole love triangle, and then she meets John Ambrose McLaren, and we're gonna leave it at that. So the second one is Bagel, so good you can forget the plot holes, and I picked Eye of the Lost by Melissa De La Cruz. This is about 4 villain kids and a prince, and it's every Disney movie, princess movie mashup that you can think of. There's Cruella de Vil, there's Ursula, there's the Beauty and the Beast, there's Maleficent. It's amazing. I love this. Please don't make fun of the fact that my tabs are straight across. That's how I tab things. But this is great. My favorite character is actually a side character, which you'll come to learn that my side characters tend to be my favorite characters, like John Ambrose McLaren or Kitty in that one. Evie's my favorite in this one, but she's not a main character, but she's also not a side character. So I don't know how that works, but my favorite character is Evie, and she's just great. And then Carlos. But if you want to know a little bit about it before going into it, there are movies, and the soundtrack is great, even though the acting in the movies is kind of not good, even though there's Dove Cameron and Boo Boo Stewart and Sophia Carson and Cameron Boyce. The next one is Cereal, Best Consumed Quickly, and this one took a while, but I ended up coming to a conclusion that it is Changeling by Philippa Gregory, which is the first book in the Order of Darkness series. You cannot put this book down and then be attached to it anymore. So that was the mistake that I learned reading this. I realized that when I started reading it, I read the first 100 pages fairly quickly, and then I put it down because I went to sleep. Bad idea, because I didn't pick it up for another 3 days, and then I finished it, and then I gave it 3 stars, and then I really went over it in my head, and I'm wow, it's actually a really good book. And the ending, and then again, side character is my favorite character. Plus, those are side characters are love thingy going on, and I think that's really cute. But the next one is Toast, something a little dark. I went with The Maze Runner by James Dashner. No, I wanted to go with The Death Cure, which is the 3rd book, because that's the one where my favorite character dies. But technically I haven't read the 3rd book, and I haven't even read the majority of the 2nd one. I've only seen the movies, so I'm not going to count off of it, but I have read this book, and another one of my favorite characters died, and I sobbed like a little baby before I even got to the chapter, because I knew it was going to happen, because I watched the movie before I read the book. Pretty much, The Maze Runner is about a bunch of teenage boys who are stuck in a maze, and they look for a way out, and then when they think that they can't do it anymore, they just kind of live in peace and everything like that, until Thomas comes up and is everything is changing now that he's there, and then a girl comes up, Teresa. We don't like her. She's everything's gonna change, everything is not gonna be the same as it was before, and then things get bad and a lot of people die, and moral of the story is don't get attached to anybody. But this is a really good book. The next one is Oatmeal, which is a book that makes you feel nice and warm. and I picked Cool Friends Forever by this author right there. Cannot pronounce it, not gonna try. I tried it in my last video, which I definitely recommend you watch, by the way. But this book I read quickly. It was cute, it was fun. It didn't necessarily get me out of my reading slump, but it definitely gave me something to read while I was in it, just because like I could have read this in a day, and it took me 2 to 3. So like that's how we know I'm in a reading slump. But it was cute, and I liked this, I liked the mystery, I liked the story, I liked the little like love thing going on. But pretty much this follows Venus Flytrap, Rebecca Steam, and Raquel Goyle, and they get a new teacher who starts a club called Monsters Association League or something like that. I don't know. I just know that it's called the Mall, and they're just league twice, or league twice. But they pretty much just solve the mystery. It's between these 3 girls and then another boy that you meet. I don't know if it says his name, because if not, I'm not gonna tell you. It doesn't tell you the name of the guy in here, but it's really cute. Definitely made for like children, even though it's juvenile. Definitely made for like 5th graders. And I still liked it, so that should give you something. I also have the 2nd book in the series, just because I like, those are my favorite characters. Obviously, you know, I like side characters, and they are not main characters in Monster High if you've seen any of the movies or anything. So the next one is Juice. Pick your favorite book, or pick your favorite juice and favorite color on the cover. I picked The Giver. My favorite is orange juice, but I also drink apple juice quite regularly, and this can match the apple juice, and this right here can match the orange juice. This is my favorite science fiction. I consider this a classic because it's taught in school. I also have the rest of the series, which, by the way, I didn't realize it was a series until I looked it up. But this book is so good. Like, I read it in a day. Like, I didn't get up. I think I got up once to use the bathroom, and then I went back because I read it along with the audiobook, but I had held the book in my hand and I was reading along, and hearing the guy talk, it was so intriguing, and I loved it, and it was just, I recommend this book. So the next one is egg/tofu scramble, as different ways to eat them. There are different ways to live, so to pick a memoir. And I would have picked Katharine Hepburn's, but I don't own it anymore. And I probably would have picked Tyler Oakley's, honestly, but I don't know what the heck happened to that. So I'm gonna go with the memoir that I read literally at the beginning of every year, and that is A Work in Progress by Connor Franta. When I tell you I read this at the beginning of every year, I read it when it came out in 2015, and then I read it again January 1st, 2016, and January 21st, 2017, and January 1st, 2018, and 2019, and 2020. So all the pictures in here, I'm pretty sure were taken by Connor Franta himself. But Connor Franta, he's always been one of my favorites of him. And now Trevi Moran, girl came out as transgender. We're so proud of her. But both of them are the ones I'm related to. But Connor a little bit more so because he's a track runner. He is gay. He always put out content that I enjoyed. I haven't looked at any of his YouTube content, but I do follow him on Instagram, and I'm probably following him on Twitter, but I have to stay off of that or else I'm gonna have a panic attack. So anyway, this is a memoir that I think you should pick up. I am gonna try and get the 2nd book that he wrote, which I think is also a memoir, or a biography of his life or something. I know that my brother has it, so I can probably just get it from him when I see him next, because he owes me back 4 books, or at least 2 that I know he's read. But yeah, this is gorgeous. This is the inside of this book. And let me find some other pictures. Yeah, look at him. He's so little. He's so cute. I don't know. He's just so cute. But yeah, I definitely recommend that. Let me see. Fancy pastry, a genre you don't read all the time, but you love when you do. And so I'm gonna go with So I have to redo this clip because I showed like where I go to the library and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna go with Vampire Night by Matsuri Hino. I'm gonna put that down so I'm not like holding it weird. But pretty much the like book style is graphic novel, comic book, manga. So this is the first manga I read, but if you watched either the last video or my last two, you guys know that this book, and this is only volume 1, put me into a reading slump because I read the book and then I watched the anime in 36 hours, even though I probably could have done it in 24 had I not fallen asleep for like 3,000 hours and had cheer practice. But it is just such a good book, especially if you want to get into manga and you like romance and vampires and all of this stuff. I think the illustrations are phenomenal. I think the writing is really good. I think that the plot line or the storyline is really good. It's pretty much about a boy named Zero and a girl named Yuki, and how they're guardians of a school where there's a day class and a night class. The night class is full of vampires, and they need to protect the day class from the night class. So because obviously the day class is just regular humans who have no idea that vampires exist, who think that they're myths, and they need to protect them. And I'm not gonna like really go into any details because I don't really know exactly what happened in this specific volume and what happened in the anime. I'm sorry that the shadow is really weird, but yeah, that's this. The next one is Mimosa, getting into brunch territory, a book I'm looking forward to. And I technically have 2 books for this, but I'm going to pick the one that I'm probably going to read first. And that's Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Pretty much what happens in this book, from what I see. Got the president's son and a prince who absolutely despise each other, but to make them getting a better chance of getting the next spot or something, they have to act like they're best friends, and then they fall in love. And I'm super excited to see how that plays out, because like I don't necessarily hate to love romance books. I don't know. I don't know if that made any sense, but like the way that this was like put out just interested me. And it's LGBTQ plus this cover is really cute. And I really like the name Alex. So his name is Henry. The other guy's name was Henry, apparently. But I do just really like the name Alex. And so the last one is Breakfast for Dinner, what I like to eat for breakfast in a book of my choice. So for breakfast, I either eat oatmeal with granola and fruit, or a protein bar if I wake up early enough for breakfast, or sometimes if I wake up too early and I have to like go, I don't eat breakfast at all, which is pretty bad. But anyway, the book of my choice up to this point by Jennifer Longo. I've talked about this book a lot on my channel, and to say that I love this is an understatement. This is one of the only books that I've actually like genuinely reread and enjoyed every single time I reread it. So this is about a girl named oh my gosh, I don't remember the name of the girl. Harper. I always want to call her friend's name. Her friend's name is Kate. Harper, she's a ballerina. She wants to get into the San Francisco ballerina, but her best friend has always had every like advantage. She was secretly put into YAGP, which if you don't know is this huge ballet competition, and people there are phenomenal, but you always have to get a sponsor from a studio, so you can go independent like you can at most competitions. So she obviously didn't get a chance to go. Well, her friend did, even though they were like, yeah, you can't, we don't do that, and whatever. And then her best friend got into the San Francisco ballet, and she was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to Antarctica. And so she went to Antarctica and she played with penguins. I recommend that book so much, especially if you like 2 point of views. I don't know why I whispered that. But yeah, I recommend it if you like 2 point of views, especially because it's not necessarily like 2 different people. It's like the before and after, like her finding out that she didn't get into the San Francisco ballet and her going, or her being in Antarctica. But it also touched on a topic that I struggle reading, which is an eating disorder. So there's the stereotype that ballerinas don't eat, which is not true. There are obviously ballerinas who don't eat, because there's always been this like specific, like, you have to be super skinny and super tall, but not too tall, you know, God forbid. So when she didn't make it, yeah. But I recommend pretty much every single book that I talked about. Yeah, I recommend every single book that I talked about. Obviously, I can't recommend this book until I read it, but everybody's recommended that book, so I mean. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. On my social media will also be down below, and I will see you next time, whenever that may be. Stay educated. Bye!